We've all been there, haven't we? Those moments when a company just seems to get you, everything's smooth sailing, your needs are anticipated, and you just walk away feeling awesome. But then there's the flip side.
Now tell me about it.
You know those frustrating encounters that make you wonder, did anyone even think about the customer at all when they designed this?
Like you're stuck in an escape room just trying to buy a cup of coffee.
Exactly. And today, we're diving deep into a tool that businesses are using these days to tackle those experiences head on, to really try and improve things. Customer journey maps. And you specifically wanted to explore customer journey mapping. It's a guide from, CustCore Consulting, an Australian firm.
Catchy title.
Right. I know. It sounds riveting, a PDF deep dive. But trust me on this one. This isn't just some dusty old document. It's actually packed with real-world examples, practical tips, stuff that businesses are actually using in the real world to improve, your experiences as a customer.
What I find so interesting is how businesses are finally starting to understand that they can't just assume they know what the customer wants, right? They have to actually understand your journey, your steps, your emotions, even those head-scratching moments we were just talking about. And this guide's like their secret playbook for doing exactly that.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit. So the guide defines a customer journey map as, and I'm reading here, a visual tool for mapping out every step a customer takes when interacting with a business. Well, but it's got to be more than just like a flow chart.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Think of it more like this. A flow chart will show you the path, right? It shows you the way to go. But a journey map, this actually tells you the story of that path. So it's going to delve into emotions, the needs, and definitely those potential pain points at each stage. It really tries to get in your head as a customer.
So it's like, say you're signing up for a new streaming service, right? The journey map isn't just going to show customer creates account. It's going to try and capture that initial excitement of discovering all those new shows, maybe even that frustration of, a clunky interface.
And don't forget the relief when you finally find that perfect binge-worthy series.
Exactly.
You know what's cool? This document actually illustrates this with a real-world example, a client using consulting services. And they map out every single interaction, that initial phone call, brainstorming sessions, all the way through to that final report delivery. Really interesting stuff.
Now, I know what you might be thinking at home.
Right.
Why should I even care about this? I'm just trying to, get through my day, live my life.
Right. Who has time for this?
But here's the thing, and this is what I find fascinating. When you start to understand these maps, it's almost like you're getting a backstage pass to how companies are trying to, make your experience better. It's like having a superpower, almost.
It's about being a more informed consumer, right? Because when you get how these journey maps work, you start to see those aha moments of good and bad design. And not just when you're using a website or an app. It's everywhere. You even begin to kind of, use this knowledge to find businesses that get you, that align with what you want and really seem to prioritize your needs.
So it's not just about companies understanding us. It's about us understanding them. I like that. It's like evening the playing field a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of this thing. The document breaks this whole journey mapping thing down into, several key components. And the first one is steps. So it's not enough to just be like, okay, customer buys our product, right? We need to go deeper, get more granular.
Exactly. It's those individual interactions that really matter. Take the example they use in the document, Jane Smith. She's a gym member. So what are the actual steps she takes in her whole fitness journey? Maybe it starts with, researching gyms online.
Then booking a tour, going to that very first class. So scary.
Oh, I know, the worst. But hopefully it ends with her feeling great, strong, confident, ready to take on the world.
One burpee at a time. And speaking of taking on the world, that whole idea of understanding your own why as a customer, that's powerful, right?
Absolutely. That's where the document's focus on needs comes in. It's about understanding the why behind each action, right? Because if you can uncover those deep-seated needs, those motivations that are driving your behavior, that's where the magic happens.
It's like, if you know you hate waiting in line, maybe you start ordering your coffee ahead or finding those places that are just super efficient.
Exactly. And that's gold for businesses. Now, to really understand those whys, we've got to look at touch points. And that's basically any interaction a customer has with a brand. So we're talking, browsing their website, seeing one of their ads on social media, even just driving past a billboard on the highway.
So it's really about identifying every single point of contact a customer has with a company from start to finish, right? But here's where things get interesting. Because it's not just about what the customer does at those touch points, but how they feel during those interactions, right? We're talking emotions.
This is how these journey maps go way beyond your basic flowcharts. It's acknowledging that customers aren't robots, Our emotions, they color every interaction we have. And businesses are finally realizing this is important.
And understanding those emotions can be, it can be game-changing for businesses, right? We've all had those customer service calls that just leave you wanting to scream, haven't we?
Oh, don't even get me started. It's the worst.
And the document actually talks about this thing called the peak end rule, which basically says that we tend to remember experiences based on the most intense moments, the peaks, and of course, how it all ends.
So first impressions and last impressions.
Makes sense, right?
Totally.
So if a company can really nail those peak moments and end on a high note, well, that's what we remember, even if the whole experience had a few hiccups along the way.
It's like a good movie, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If it's got a great ending, you might forgive a slow start.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've got the steps, we've got the needs, those emotional touch points. But how does it all come together for businesses? What are they really doing with all this information?
Well, that's where we get to, the heart of it all, and that's moments that matter. These are those make or break interactions that can make or break a customer's entire experience. And businesses know these moments are everything.
So we're back and ready to dig into even more insights from this customer journey mapping guide. We were talking about those really important moments that matter in customers' experience. It's like, imagine you're online trying to buy concert tickets, right?
Oh, the stress.
Right. And you finally find those front row seats you've been dreaming of. Okay, that, my friend, is a moment that matters.
You better believe it is.
But then the website crashes while you're trying to check out.
Yeah.
Talk about a buzzkill, right?
The worst. And that's exactly why businesses are laser focused on, trying to identify and, of course, optimize those really important moments in the customer journey. They want to make sure that those moments are positive, memorable, that you walk away happy and, wanting to come back for more. And here's the thing, identifying those moments, that's just the first step, isn't it? The real magic happens when businesses use those insights to actually do something, to, make things better.
That makes sense. It's not enough to just map out the journey and then just stick it in a drawer, right?
Right. What's the point of that?
You got to do something with that information. So how do businesses take those next steps? How do they put these insights into action?
Well, this guide really stresses how important it is that journey mapping isn't just like a one-time project,
Sure.
It's got to be part of the company culture. It's about building that customer centricity into everything they do.
So almost like every decision, every new feature, every interaction, it's all filtered through this lens of, okay, how is this going to affect our customers? What's this going to be like for them?
Exactly. And that's when it gets interesting because you start digging into these journeys and companies start to uncover insights that can spark real innovation,
Yeah.
even lead to brand new products or services.
So instead of just kind of accepting that something's clunky or difficult, they can look at the journey map and be like, wait a minute, there's a better way to do this.
Right. Think about how ride-sharing apps, they completely revolutionized transportation.
Right.
And they didn't just make taxis a little bit more convenient. They really tapped into those unmet needs of, transparency, reliability, making it easy to, just get from A to B.
It's like, instead of asking, how can we make this cab ride better? They were like, how can we totally rethink this whole experience of getting from point A to point B? They were thinking outside the box.
I like it. Okay, so we've got this big picture now where journey mapping can lead to, hopefully happier customers, and it can also spark some amazing innovation. But let's get practical for a second. What can businesses actually do with these maps, today, to make those customer experiences better right now?
Well, this document, it talks about the importance of as-is journey maps. And basically, these maps capture the experience exactly as it is right now, warts and all.
No sugarcoating.
None whatsoever. You've got to be honest about those pain points if you want any hope of actually fixing them, right?
Yeah, it's like going to the doctor, right? You're not going to get the right treatment if you don't tell them what's actually wrong. Exactly. And just like your doctor might use different tests to diagnose a problem, businesses use what we call metrics to kind of track their progress. So, for example, are people getting stuck at a certain point in the journey? Are they adding things to their online shopping cart, but then, abandoning it at checkout? Metrics give you that objective data, so you can see what's working and what needs some attention.
So it's not just about mapping out those emotions, it's about actually measuring them too. Data-driven emotions.
It's all connected, right? And this guide reminds us that those metrics, they should always be tied back to your big picture business goals. So, if you're trying to get people to stick around, to become loyal customers, maybe you start tracking things like how often they're coming back to buy something or how long they're staying subscribed to your service.
Right. It's like that old saying, what gets measured gets managed.
Yeah.
But let's bring all this back to our listeners for a minute. So how can you actually benefit from understanding this stuff, even if you're not out there creating journey maps all day?
Well, and that's the beauty of it. Once you understand these maps, once you know what they're all about, you start to see them everywhere. It's like you suddenly have this awareness of those moments that matter in your own life, as a consumer. And with that awareness, it's like you've got more power, more choice.
So you're saying we can start to choose the companies that are, that are doing it right, that are really putting in the effort.
Exactly. You start looking for those businesses that are trying to understand you, trying to make your experience better. You can even, and this is kind of cool, you can even start creating your own mini journey maps of your experiences.
Wait, we can do that? That actually sounds kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like we could be customer experience detective.
Why not? Imagine, you have one of those really frustrating encounters with a company. And instead of just being frustrated, you take a minute and try to map out that whole experience. Think about the steps you took, what went wrong, those emotions you felt.
It's like being Sherlock Holmes, but for customer service. What are the clues? Where did it all go wrong?
Right. You might surprise yourself with the insights you find, and who knows, you might even have some really helpful feedback to give the company. Because don't forget, customer feedback, that's like gold to a business that's trying to improve.
And speaking of gold, we've got one last treasure chest of knowledge to open up when we come back for the final act of our customer journey mapping deep dive. All right, so we are back for the final part of our customer journey mapping deep dive. And gotta say, we've covered a lot of ground here, from the nuts and bolts of how these maps actually work to how they can, lead to some really cool innovation.
We've been busy.
We have. But before we hand you the compass and send you off on your own customer journey mapping adventures.
Don't forget your map.
Right, exactly. We got to talk about the bigger picture here, because this isn't just about, changing a button on a website or like rewriting a customer service script.
Yeah.
It's got to be bigger than that.
Way bigger. And this document, it really drives that point home. Journey mapping, it's not something you do once and then forget about it. It's got to be a living, breathing part of the company.
So it's really about making that customer centricity, making that part of like the company's DNA.
100%. It's almost like asking that question, how can we make this experience better? It should just be automatic, like a reflex, just a natural part of how they do business.
So less about like checking boxes and more about a fundamental shift in like how they think. Right?
Yes. It's about always looking for ways to make things better for the customer, make those interactions, smoother, maybe even enjoyable.
Okay, now that's a world I can get behind. But let's be real for a second. We've all dealt with those companies that just seem stuck in the dark ages. I'm talking confusing websites, phone menus that never end. Are you telling me even those companies can change?
I am telling you. It might take a little more work, a little more time, but this guide actually lays out a roadmap for even those companies. Remember those as-is maps we were talking about? That's the perfect place to start because it shows you exactly where the problems are.
It's like taking a good hard look in the mirror and saying, okay, this is where we're at. Now, how do we fix it?
Exactly. And the cool thing is once those companies start down this path, really trying to understand their customers, it can be contagious. You start to see positive change everywhere.
So it's not just about one company getting better. It's about like raising the bar for everyone.
Right. Imagine a world where every company from your local coffee shop to, the biggest companies out there, they're all trying to make things better for you. Yeah. That's the power of this stuff.
I like the sound of that. And it makes you realize we all kind of have a role to play here, don't we? In making this, this customer-centric world a reality.
We do. And it all starts with awareness. The more we understand about how this stuff works, the more power we have as consumers to actually demand better.
And don't underestimate the power of feedback.
Yeah.
Let those companies know what they're doing right, but also what they can do better. Because your voice matters.
It really does. So as we wrap up our customer journey mapping deep dive here, I want to leave you with this.
Hit me with it.
Next time you're dealing with a company, maybe you're ordering dinner online or, you're stuck in one of those phone menus, I want you to see if you can look at that experience differently.
Like, put on our customer journey mapping glasses.
Exactly. What are the steps involved? Where are the pain points? And how's it making you feel? Because at the end of the day, that's what really matters, right? Creating experiences that aren't just, efficient, but they're actually enjoyable for people.
Maybe even a little bit delightful. I like it.
Why not? And you never know, you might just discover something that helps make those experiences better for everyone.
Well said, well said. And on that note, we're going to wrap up our customer journey mapping deep dive. Remember, knowledge is power. And now you've got the tools to navigate those customer journeys like a pro. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those why questions, and keep those aha moments coming.